Good morning, this is Kym Watson. Welcome to this morning's Morning Outlook. Okay, so looking at before I get on to the currencies themselves, it's just looking at the key news due out today, and really we've got to the Canadian ADP non-farms at 130, Philly Fed Manufacturing Index unemployment claims, or the weekly unemployment claims that is for the US. None of these are any stretch of the imagination normally big movers. Unemployment claims US might get things rolling a little bit, as might the ADP non-farm employment change for the Canadian dollar, but I'm not expecting too much fundamental data to create anything today. So as we look at the markets, then I'm starting off the daily euro here, and there is a bit of a divergence running across the highs. Here we've got high here, and arguably it's a bit of a divergence. It did come back quite a bit on the RSI on this retracement, but possibly we've got some further downside here, and I say possibly. I'm still bearish on the US dollar, but retracements. It's a pivot swing that we've set up on the dailies. A break of yesterday's lows could well see a bit more of a correction. There are I was just looking at the option holdings that expire at 3 p.m. UK 10 Eastern time, and there's about 2 billion sitting at 1850, which, depending on what they are, unfortunately I can't see if they're puts or calls, but that may just be a bit of a roof on the upside there, or just we may just sit there once again. We did it yesterday. In fact, I was looking for there was no obvious reason why it just sold as it did, but it had been held up by the looks of it through till the sort of 3 o'clock candle here. The options expired that were below, and it just fired off, but it carried on going, so goodness knows. But for today, as I say, it may put a temporary ceiling on there at 1850 with around about 2 billion there, 1900, 1.4 billion. So there's protection effectively, or maybe resistance above from that perspective. Now to the downside, as we look at it, we're not too far away from the weekly pivot. It may come off south to that. The pattern itself, flaggy sort of, not particularly great flag, but a breakdown here may see us coming back to these prior this mishmash of lows here around about the 118.05 area. Not a massive shock to see a bit of a retrace in what has been quite a strongest move up there, and as I said, there is that softish divergence there. It's across the MACD as well, so it's diverging across both the RSI and the MACD there. Okay, so just watch out for more below potentially. Cable, the pound dollar, similarish picture, similar divergence across the highs there. Sold a short on this yesterday, and didn't hold it certainly for the length of time this moved. It eventually rolled big time. Just had a target which was relatively modest compared to the whole move. This has broken down, much more similarish picture to what we're seeing on the euro really, and what it's saying, the only thing is it's triggering the downside. Not quite a pivot swing, but certainly a soft old movement there, and as I say, just looking like we've got further downside to run there. In fact, I was looking at it yesterday. Let's just go back to, it has put a definite pivot swing on that euro, so just check in there. Soft on the pound then. Yen yesterday bullish engulfing, key reversal bar maybe. I was looking for a correction to sell into something. It might be here. It might be here. So we've just got the crossover, the 34 over through the 50. It's a bit of a sign of softness. We've already seen one crossover back here. We've seen the other moving averages sort of line themselves up a little bit, but as I said, it could continue to the downside. Normally a bit of a safety currency. I should be watching this. In fact, I may even put a short in. Just looking at the breaks on this. Maybe just look at the break of the 21 here as maybe a key level, that 105.90ish area, maybe a key level to the downside, looking for a bigger move if it does start going. So that's really what I'm looking at there. So a bigger correction to the downside potentially if it carries on. I mean, yes, it's put a high low in here and it's at the moment looking quite bullish from this perspective. Well, yep, so be it. It'll maybe a trade to the upside, but really I'm looking to trade this down at some stage soonish. Okay, that's the yen. Aussie dollar. Aussie dollar bearish engulfing on the dailies here as well. It doesn't look, these key reversal bars, whether they signify a continuation. I just think it may have been a bigger correction, but sometimes you look at them and you think, yep, that's a definite reversal. We'll see more off these, and potentially could, but again, there's a bigger scheme of things. It just may come actually here. I'm looking at a potential trend line along the lows here. In fact, I'll pop it on there if we can. So you can't just put a trend line on it, doesn't really matter. There we go. So just looking across these lows here, maybe if it comes back to here, it could catch the buy side. Quite significant levels along there, just coming backwards and forwards here a little. At the moment though, short term, well, it's diverging the other way here. So the Aussie was one of the Aussie New Zealand were the strongest yesterday. It's got a nice daily pivot above there. Maybe a break of the downward trend here will give me an opportunity on the long side on that Aussie dollar, and maybe a hold, a bit more of a hold if it can pitch back up there. I was just looking back at the dailies just for reference, and yeah, there was a bit of double divergence through this, so maybe it's got more of a rollover, but I'm not in it until it triggers that upside then. Canadian dollar, well, Canadian dollar didn't do quite a key reversal. It did quite a retracement yesterday again. This is another one that's just been, you just see it, every retracement sold off quite strongly. Could be the same again. Again, there's divergence across the highs here on this shorter time frame. Maybe a breakdown of that 3208 area, could start seeing it soften further with daily pivot below, maybe a draw. So again, there's some of these markets that look primed to sort of continue their trend. Others maybe have a bit more to give back. The euro and the pound were always weaker yesterday. Okay, that's pretty much it there. It's a quick look at oil. It's not really been doing too much. I'm going to just stick. It's just still very choppy, so I'm not going to do too much on that. Gold was pushing up at one stage yesterday, but he says, can't remember which stage that was now. Looking at this, it was a very short stage, but it has well given back again. It was looking bright at one stage, and then it's turned back, and in fact this still looks like it could come off some more, although it has got a slightly missed the weekly pivot above, daily pivot above. It may just whip up there, but in the pattern here it still looks, there's no divergences. It's not like the other markets that have got divergences sitting in it. It just looks like, well, it could still roll back. And finally the S&Ps. So S&P's big sell-off yesterday, not a surprise. I wouldn't be shocked if we saw a few days sell-off. Yeah, just some sort of correction. It's just been sort of going up and up and up, and you see how shallow these retracements really have been in the big picture of things. Although yes, they're quite aggressive when they come in. Catching a bid at the moment, but just maybe bear flag, so it could give traders the opportunity to sell on the break later. We'll see, but certainly at the pattern at the moment, as I say, it's flag territory. It breaks the lows. Maybe it's a sell point back to the lows on beyond. It had extreme down there, so it may just on the RSI here, so may just see it come back anyway. Right, that's pretty much it for me. Have a great day. Bye for now.